Right next to the mine. Yeah, I don't know if he's... Oh, nice pickup from Stork. Stork's early game micro, I mean, even his late game micro is just insane. And fOrGG actually got 2 tanks out. His SCVs are using the block and he's not repairing, but it looks like, for the most part, Stork's clearing out all of fOrGG's forces, and Stork actually cleared out all the SCVs too, so fOrGG is actually done out of this game. So if Stork can just clear out these forces outside of his base, and really, I think he got all the vultures. It's only a few Marines and a tank, so unless Stork missed micros here, I think Stork's gonna, put 2 more tanks out for fOrGG, so I don't know if he was building up a bunch of resources there or what, but he's got a single tank out, but I think Stork is gonna be able to stop that with the 1 Reaver, which is still at full HP and 17 kills.
Yeah, apparently... Oh, no! Oh, what a quick pickup by Stork. I mean, that just shows how good his control is right there. Apparently, I mean, I can't believe that fOrGG had the money to build another 4 tanks while that was happening. Apparently, I guess he's not playing that great if he saved up that much money. It looks like both players are able to defend their base now. I mean, Stork definitely can't move out. He has to keep his Reaver there for defense, and fOrGG can't attack while the Reaver's there. I don't think he has siege mode. However, if Stork actually saves up money and gets a second Reaver, he's going to be able to go back in the base and do a shitload of damage. Oh, it looks like he spotted the fact that the tanks are moving back, and he's going to go with the Reaver anyway. So this is going to be really bad for fOrGG. I mean, you basically have to have siege to hold off Reavers. Unsieged tanks just aren't going to do the trick. If Stork, with the Stork's caliber micro, he's just basically going to tear him apart here, and I think this is going to be the game. And Stork's managed to get a couple of goons out for defense, so I think this is pretty much going to be spelling the end for fOrGG. 1 tank against a Reaver and a goon. I think there's a second tank, but it really doesn't even matter at this point. That's scary. Okay, only getting 3 SCVs, but this is pretty much GG. There's no way that fOrGG is defending this without taking another extreme amount of damage. The goon goes down, but fOrGG's down to 1 tank with low HP and 5 SCVs. He basically, I mean, if he tries to repair the tank, the Reaver will take out the SCVs in the tank at the same time. So he's pretty much fucked no matter what. His game is pretty much over. Well played by Stork. Good control. Really minimizing the damage and maximizing the use of the Reaver and the shuttle. I bet fOrGG is kicking himself for not researching siege while he was pushing out as soon as his vulture upgrades got finished. Because I think of that. Okay, and there we see the GG. GG. Good game. Stork takes it.
Yeah, GG. That's just, really good Reaver control. And although I think my big question for that game, and I wish I could get into the mind of fOrGG, is did he realize that proxy Reaver is coming? Because he came out at a time right before the Reaver was about to come out where Stork really didn't have enough forces, and with a 2-factory build, so he was really going for a push. I think he really expected that Stork had gone for the expansion, so I think just delaying that robo just a little bit, although it hindered the effectiveness of the drop, it really, I mean, it pretty much controlled fOrGG's game. He went for a 2-factory push where I think if he knew that Stork would have proxied that robo, he definitely would have stayed back in his base and expanded because he would have been ahead. So not only great control by Stork, but just great hindsight, I guess, in expecting how the game was going to play out. Yeah, that was just really smart.
The white guys are pretty psyched. I mean, yeah, Stork really played that well. I think it was a really cool move with the elevator. I mean, you don't see that too often, elevatoring goons up there with a proxy Reaver. That's kind of the thing that surprised me. I mean, even if fOrGG had been expecting some kind of shenanigans, I really don't think that an elevator came into his mind, especially seeing that Stork was only running off 1 gateway. I mean, if you saw Protoss going 1 gateway range, the last thing you would expect is to have 4 Dragoons pop up in your base. And I think, he definitely got tricked by the probe that was going out. I mean, Stork even tried to kind of hide the probe, but I think he failed on purpose to hide the probe from the SCV. Like, if you could notice, when the SCV was going in the base, Stork sent his probe down to try to avoid the sight range, but fOrGG definitely still saw it, and fOrGG might have been like, oh hey, he tried to not let me see this probe going out, but I saw it anyway. I know he's expanding, so I'm just going to push him and kill him, and it'll be GG. And then, oh shit, next thing you know, there's 4 Dragoons and a Reaver in my base pushing my shit in.
Yeah, and I guess my last question before we wrap this up too is, do you really think the elevator was necessary? I mean, let's say hypothetically that he would have went for something at least, I know he proxied, but something a little bit more standard if he would have went for building a second zealot and then putting the 2 zealots and the reaver in the shuttle. 4GG really didn't have much in terms of forces. I mean, do you think Stork could have held off his attack just fine in his base? Like, what if he would have kept, you saw when he had the probes and the 1 Dragoon on the ramp, what if he would have had 4 Dragoons on his ramp at that point? Do you think he really would have minimized the cost, or do you think 4GG would have been able to defend his base?
I don't think 4GG would have been able to defend his... I mean, he would have been able to defend his base, but it would have worked out probably better for Stork had he not gone for the elevator. Just because, I mean, even if 4GG can defend his base, he's still going to lose so many SCVs by the time 2 tanks come out that it's going to be a disaster. And Stork, I mean, if he has 4 goons sitting up on his ramp, he's going to be able... I mean, it all comes down to control, right? But he would probably be able to minimize the damage to the point where maybe like 1 vulture and 1 tank gets into his base, where he's going to lose some probes, but he's going to be able to, hold off the attack and not lose almost every single probe like in this situation. I think either way he would have won the game. It probably would have been better to not elevator, but at the same time, like, Stork, he has a good read on his opponent, but he probably did not expect a 2 factory. That's probably why he elevated. The reason he elevated was probably to counter 1 fac CC, which I think is probably the most commonly seen response to a gas steal, is a Terran will just go 1 fac siege command center. So that's probably what he was counting on 4GG doing, and it just worked out either way.
Yeah, that was really good that Stork salvaged that game. I agree there. I didn't, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, 4GG went for the 2 factory build, but it was a little bit delayed from the gas steal, so it didn't really feel as aggressive as it normally would have. But,
yeah.
Even though I think Stork, he didn't exactly plan for what 4GG was doing, 4GG had really no fucking idea what Stork was doing. And
no, he had no.
I guess that wraps it up when we're moving on to a TBT, go.go versus C in the 2 set. So any last thoughts, or are we going to move on?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. I mean, Stork, outplaying 4GG to no one's surprise, really. That's all that really needs to be said.
All right, yeah, peace out, guys.
Peace.